Welcome. On today's episode of Colorado Films, the podcast, we're joined by Tyson Kroening and Evan Cannon. Tyson is a seasoned filmmaker and producer based in Denver. Tyson has helped shepherd bold independent features, including Spectacular by Comparison, and Fey Folk, A Search for Connection, The Ascendants. Tyson's film, I Will Not Take Care of You, has played at over 40 international film festivals, won more than 30 awards, and has been acquired by Gravitas Ventures. Alongside Tyson, we have Evan Cannon. Evan is a producer and director, also based in Denver, who focuses on human-centered storytelling. Recently, Evan directed 2 feature-length documentaries and a narrative short through Subjective LLC. While leading commercial and branded productions at Objective Films, his work spans independent features, agency collaborations, and educational filmmaking, including leadership with Series Fest's Mobile Cinema Lab, where he mentors the next generation of filmmakers. Tyson and Evan are co-festival directors of Scorpius Fest. Scorpius Fest is built around accessibility, bold voices, and films you can actually get into. Scorpius Fest will enjoy its Boulder premiere February 28th, running through March 1st. I'm excited to talk with Tyson and Evan today about Scorpius Fest and their work. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on.
Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah. After I saw Spectacular by Comparison, I've told everybody, I believe that the opening scene to cut to title is one of the best I've ever seen. It just right there, I was like, wow, let me watch more. And I watched it. I'm like, this is so punk rock. This is so great. Get it done. We got this. Let's make it happen. Tell us about the film. Tell us about how this all came to be and how we're going to be enjoying it next week.
I'll let Evan kick it off. I just want to say that Stefan himself would absolutely love that you called it punk rock. He just made his day.
Nice.
And Stefan, being Stefan Olsen, who was the original founder of a very, very small but very, very passionate film festival in Park City, Utah, over the last about 5 years or so. We actually got involved with that festival as attendants. We had our film, I Will Not Take Care of You, was one of the ones selected for the 2023 year of that festival. And we went in attendance having no idea what we were getting into. And it turned out to be just one of the craziest sort of, if I may say, train wreck kind of experiences we've ever had. And it blew our minds how kind of insane the experience was. But what we came away with was this incredibly impassioned community of filmmakers who kind of banded together to kind of help keep things on the tracks. So we decided, we came back from that festival experience and had told so many of our friends and family the story of Scorpius Fest 2023 and what that was all about and how crazy it was. We kind of decided, we need to commit this to film because we keep telling this story and it's just too good to not preserve in some way. And so that's kind of how it started. And we were just going to kind of tell that story. And then Tyson was the one to reach out to the festival founder and director, Stefan, who is sort of the main subject of our documentary. Reached out to him to see if he'd be willing to be on camera and talk about his side of the events of that festival. And to our surprise, he said yes. So we flew out and met him in Salt Lake City and got to know him over the course of a weekend, sat him down for some interviews and completely changed our perspective on what the festival was, what our experience was. And there was just so much more story underneath what we had experienced. And after that meeting with Stefan and that interview with Stefan, we decided we have a very different documentary on our hands. And so we decided, we need to see if every Scorpius Fest kind of turns out the same way or not. And so we went back for 2024, but this time we went back in the capacity, not just as a documentary crew, but as a crew for the festival itself, because he was running it all by himself for the last 5 years. And we were like, we can't just go back and turn the cameras on. And if things go wrong, we don't involve ourselves. We have to help out and pitch in this time. And so that's really how it came about.
Yeah, and I like the scene where he goes off and invites everybody at the hospital. That was a touching moment. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't, maybe it'll make somebody happy, maybe it won't, but it's there.
And that is very Stefan, which he found that venue. So spoiler alert for the film, the location for the 2024 Scorpius Fest was at a local hospital in Park City. How he found that, I don't know, but they had like a conference area with a room with seats and a projector and a screen. So it totally worked. And then, yeah, Stefan actually went around to the staff of the hospital saying, hey, we're having a film festival downstairs. You should come see it. You're all invited, which was a very Stefan thing to do.
He should not have done that, by the way. But I mean, that scene, like you said, it's the heart, but that right there is the core of the reason we kept the documentary going and that changed our focus. Like that dude, it was free. He just wanted people to come celebrate the filmmakers, give the doctors something to do. Like he just cares.
Yeah.
And so when we started filming the interviews for the opening, we didn't know what the hell it was going to be. I didn't know if it was going to be a short. I didn't know if it was going to be just sent around internally for our friends so that we could stop telling the story or what. And then we went and interviewed him and it was like, I don't know, you just kind of fall in love with the guy. And like, despite some of the decisions made, you're like, you feel for him and you understand why he's doing them. And at their core, they're the most wholesome and sweet decisions possible. And like, I don't know, man, you just like, I guess I'm gonna help this guy. And I don't know why I became friends with him. We just did. And it just like that now we have a movie.
Nice. And with it coming to Colorado, have you guys, I mean, obviously you've probably got a bigger team. You've got help from the Dairy Arts Center. So you've kind of got a more tight-knit and more, been through the ringer kind of production going. With just the film and with what you guys are doing, how do you think Boulder's help with this will improve Scorpius Fest and how people view these, films?
I think one of the big things is, and one of the themes of the documentary about how this festival came to be, the documentary Spectacular by Comparison, is, Stefan has all the ambition in the world, and he just doesn't accept no for an answer. But that doesn't mean that his abilities can always get him there. And what he really needed was support. What he needed was a crew and people around him that shared that vision. We actually ended up taking over that festival. And moving it from Park City to Boulder. And this year will be our inaugural year under new leadership. Stefan is still the founder and is still, Tyson, he has an official title that we've given him.
I don't know. He's the guest of honor is what I'm calling him.
He's going to be, he's our guest of honor this year. And so we moved it to Boulder for a couple of reasons. One is Stefan had already run Scorpius Fest in Park City, very close to when Sundance runs, as kind of like the awkward stepchild of Sundance, let's say. So we were like, if Sundance is moving to Boulder, we should move Scorpius Fest to Boulder too. So that's what we did. I think this time around,
we live here.
We live here. Yeah.
Part of the joke is that, if he wanted it to be right next to Sundance, we can actually do that. And we happen to live here. So it actually is feasible to do that. Like he really did want us to keep it in Park City for a little bit. He's come around. And the thing was like, we can't plan something in Utah all year round from Colorado comfortably. So we have to move it somewhere nearby.
Yeah. And I think, go ahead. Sorry.
No.
I was just going to say, and this time around with it being in Boulder and under new management, if you want to say that, basically what we're trying to do is keep the spirit of that festival alive, that truly independent filmmaking spirit, no budget, low budget, first time filmmakers, the people who need the most support and the most visibility. We want to maintain that that sort of guidepost, that North Star, if you will, but we also want to just give it a little bit more structure and make it more accessible to the public. I think in previous festivals, tickets have not always been on sale to the public. It was just sort of a festival for filmmakers.
Never been.
So this is our so this is our first year actually opening it to the public and allowing people to come see these films and not just have the filmmakers in attendance. And we just want to give it some extra zhuzh and a little sparkle and raise the awareness of it to the public,
Nice. What were the most surprising moments while making Spectacular by Comparison? I know we talked about, just the heart of Stefan, but was there the weather, people showing up and like, oh, hey, we'll help too?
I will say there are a few things that weren't a surprise during this process. Like pretty much every day was chock full of them. It was incredibly chaotic and incredibly stressful. But that's just sort of the energy that Stefan can sometimes bring, and we knew what we were in for the most part. The most surprising thing I would say is the reaction to the film. We were very unsure of what this documentary would even really be. We were really trying to carve the story out of just mountains and mountains of footage. We basically rolled cameras, everything from DSLRs to GoPros to cell phones, everything we had to capture everything every day that we could, because we never knew when something crazy was going to happen, and a lot of really crazy stuff happened. And so from that, we had to kind of chisel a story out, which along with that comes a lot of doubt as filmmakers about, are people even going to be interested in this? Will people understand this story? Will they see what we saw in this whole experience? And I think for us, the most surprising thing was just how much it resonated with viewers.
All right. And with that, do you think there will be, a sequel to it, like then and now? Like, what, this is the 7th one, or in chronological order, the first one under new management. So will there be a sequel in 6 years of this is where we were and this is where we are? Come check out Scorpius Fest.
I don't
Tyson,
know.
you want to take that one?
Yeah. So, look, we're flying Stefan out for this year's festival to, my hope is that he can actually just go to the film festival for once. Like he always said, I just want to sit and watch the, like, that would be my dream, to let someone else run it. So the hope is that he can actually do that. One of the things we've been struggling with this year is that it's ran for 6 years, but there's no marketing material. There's no photos of the thing. There's our documentary, which is not available to the public yet. That's it. So we're trying to convince people that this thing is fun and interesting with like our word. That's all we have. So we've got some people coming to film it. We're going to try and document as much of it as we can. It's hard to say, but I think there's possibly like a short follow-up, Scorpius Fest Resurrected or something, because Stefan will be here and he is just a character worth spending time with. He's a person worth spending time with. So we'll see. I don't think I don't see another feature in the cards, just because I don't know that the story is there to warrant it. But I could absolutely see a fun little short just of Stefan having fun. I'd watch that.
No, it's great. And I mean, just that film, kind of what you guys have been doing, the other films I've watched in this are all very fun. Like every one I've seen that was screened was unique and interesting in their own way. Some like Rotten Apple were incredibly hard to watch because it's really serious stuff, but that's what's going on, so we have to tell those stories. But then you have
no, go ahead, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Then you have on the other end, you have The Visitor, which is just hilarious, and so you get a nice balance of all the kinds of movies that you can see and like stories that are told and really emotional, like fun. But there's definitely, I felt a lot of different emotions watching those screeners, so I was happy about that. Do you think there's any misconceptions about indie film festivals like Scorpius Fest that you'd like to dispel for emerging filmmakers?
I don't know necessarily about misconceptions, but I know that one of the reasons that we're passionate about running this festival, which I mean, the festival, our involvement came born from the documentary that we made. And I think one of the big things is that the film festival sort of ecosystem right now, and just independent film climate is still pretty high barriers to entry for a lot of film festivals that we would call mid-tier film festivals. And without naming names, but the divide in Hollywood seems to be that like you're either the tentpole blockbuster mega films, and then you've got all these A-list actors who star in independent films that still have, $5 million, $10 million budgets. And that seems to be sort of the influx into a lot of film festivals now. So what we wanted to be is a film festival that the little guy and that the emerging filmmaker, let's say, the film festival that emerging filmmakers could actually have a shot at, and a platform to actually amplify those voices, because those are the ones that are no budget, shoestring budget, pull it together however you can do it, which is very close to our hearts. And yeah, we just wanted to be a place for that. So if you're frustrated by the process of applying to film festivals and getting rejections left and right, Scorpius Fest might be a home for you, because we want to include anyone that has a unique artistic vision. If we just see the potential in it, technical skills aside, if you've got a unique story and a unique voice, we want your film to be there. And I feel like that is something that might be lost a little bit in the mainstream film festivals, let's say.
Okay.
I also think low budget, no budget, shoestring budget does not mean bad.
Yeah.
In any way. It just means it was made by people, not a company. And that takes determination and that takes drive. And like, I know that, people think a movie goes up on YouTube, it must be trash. It's like, no, that's the biggest streaming platform on earth. Like, it's just as good as any other movie. It can be just as good as any other movie. And I guess that's what we're trying to showcase. I've been really disillusioned with kind of the bigger film festivals, because look at their lineup. 90% of them have an actual $1 million or so budget. They've got a studio behind them. It's just not really indie anymore. And so I personally, and I know Stefan feels the same, I think it's amazing that we can show people's dedication and hard work to make something for nothing on a big screen. Like that's amazing.
Yeah. And kind of that comparison, YouTube versus the big screen. Have you seen films on YouTube and you're like, this is great on the little screen, now let's try it on the big screen? Or have you seen something on the big screen, you're like, maybe that should be more of a YouTube thing because it, fits. You don't need it, but you have that speakers, like it's almost too much for what the film is, but it's still a good film that could be screened somewhere.
I mean, yeah, a couple of the submissions from Film Pire were shorts on YouTube. Like they just put the link up, attach it to it, and send it. Look, most people will say like you shouldn't watch Dune on your phone. That's just not the world we live in anymore, And so I'll be honest, when Evan wanted to do our big screening of SBC at the C, which we almost like completely sold out. The tickets were free, but like the fact that many people showed up was insane to me. I did not think this was a movie that needed to be seen on the big screen. It's so lo-fi, it's so fun. Like I think you could watch it on your phone and enjoy it, but it's got the heavy emotions and like, I guess it's just fun. That was the weirdest thing to me, hearing people have fun with it, where to me it's just a ball of stress until the end, which is happy. But like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I think given the correct audience, anything can play on the big screen and anything can play on the small screen.
I think, I think that's the key to it, is the audience. So like, yeah, sure, you can put stuff on YouTube, you can watch things on your phone, but that tends to be a fairly solo activity. And there really is no substitute for a shared experience and the community feeling that you get when you're all watching the same thing at the same time. So for me, there is no replacing the theater experience. Anything that is a film, a video, whatever, it deserves the best possible presentation. And for me as an artist, that is still a theatrical exhibition. That doesn't mean it can't live on YouTube. It can't reach an audience on YouTube, but there is something about the sort of, let's call it analog nature of being in a room packed with other people and you're all experiencing the same story at the same time. And that's really the power of cinema in my old school way of thinking. But like, yeah, our film could easily, you could watch it on your phone. And yeah, you could watch a Dune on your phone, though. It breaks my heart to say that, because that he's referencing me, by the way. I'm the one that's like, don't watch Dune on your phone. But that's just me. I'm a huge Dune nerd. So, but yeah, I think you could take any visual medium and just give it a larger platform, and it automatically has a greater impact and it just feels different.
Yeah. And so how does being, because you guys are not just the co-directors of the film festival, but how does being an active filmmaker influence how you program the festival? because it's not a group or a committee that's never actually touched the camera. It's you guys are there, you touch the camera, this. And so how's that affect the programming?
It's been really kind of liberating in a way. I mean, we make our own films. We submit to film festivals. We've gotten plenty of rejections from film festivals, including for Spectacular by Comparison. And so to be on the other side of that feels empowering because it lets you, whatever little authority you have for our tiny little shoestring festival, we get to select the people who might get passed over by someone bigger. So for me, the way that I would judge submissions was always by 3 criteria: storytelling, uniqueness, and then technical ability. And if you hit 2 of those, in my book, you deserve to be programmed. So if your technical abilities are maybe a little lacking, you didn't have the best gear, but your story was really good and it had a really unique point of view, well, then that is still worthy of an audience. And then you can do any combination of those 3 factors in my book and have something that is worth being seen. We just tried to program anything that we thought an audience would enjoy.
All right.
Yeah, I mean, some of our rejection letters came with secret emails a week later from people who judged it. And honestly, we got 2 or 3 of these from people who were like, just want you to know SBC was right there. It was our runner-up contender in the festival, but it wasn't political enough, or it didn't have enough of a moment, like a cultural impact thing, which is really kind of, I guess, what filmmakers or film festivals are programming now. And I'm not saying that that's not important in any capacity, but we're not really taking that into account.
Yeah.
It's like, if the film is good, like Rotten Apple, that is a important story, but it is also just a well-made independent film by a dude who really gives a shit. Like, yep. Justin Hunt is fantastic. And so I think to program something because it is in the moment, or like you think will sell tickets, is not really ever on our forefront. Like we want an audience to enjoy it, but it's not like we need to, I don't want to say we don't want to get people in the seats, but like we believe someone can enjoy this if they come, not because we know someone will. That doesn't make sense. So, what am I trying to say here, Evan? You know what I mean, right?
That made sense.
All
yeah.
Right.
No, that made 100% sense. And like the ones that rejected it, SBC, they're lost. Like,
thanks.
It's a wonderful film. So kind of on that same story, if you could change one thing about the festival circuit today, industry-wide, what would that be?
I think if I could change one thing about the film festival circuit industry-wide, it would be to create tiers within a festival. Like when you call an independent film independent, to me that means below a certain number budget, maybe even below a certain number crew. I would love to see categories that open up the possibility for some of the smaller players, an avenue to get into some of these bigger festivals. And that's a personal soapbox of mine, but like, but if you have an independent film festival and you're premiering an independent film, air quotes, that's directed by Kristen Stewart and is starring, Ryan Reynolds, or I'm just making up names, throwing things out there. Sure, you can by definition call that independent, but it really doesn't reflect the reality of what I think independent filmmaking is, which is there are a lot more smaller players that really represent the heart of indie filmmaking. And so if you're going to run a big festival, let's be honest about like what it took to get into that festival. So I would love to see some kind of extra category that was like first-time filmmakers, low budget, or budgets beneath $100,000. So that there's at least some avenue that allows for fair competition.
Yeah, for me, transparency and honesty. If I could get more of that, I think it would be amazing. It bothers me how many filmmakers I see that made a movie for 10, 15K and then spend $3,000 on film festival submissions because they are confident that one of these things is going to get them signed and like it's going to make their future. And it does happen, but it is so rare. And basically festivals they don't all, but some can prey on that. And like, I just think being a little more transparency and honesty of like, look, man, this is who tends to get into this. Also, most of these movies don't sell. Make it about something else which is what I'm trying to do with Scorpius Fest. It's like, look, we contacted all the press in Boulder. No one got back to us. That's okay. It is not about that. It is about meeting other filmmakers and celebrating each other's work. And like, we're as open and transparent about that as possible. It's like the best thing we can offer you is I put it in the film festival things like, you need help getting on IMDb? Send me the information and I'll fill it out and put it in for you. Like these are concrete baby steps I can help you with. And it is not, you're going to sell your movie at Scorpius Fest and you're going to become a star. It's like, do you want to come and celebrate movies with people who are making movies?
Nice. Yeah, that's both great ideas, and it kind of Evans, yours kind of reminds me of the and it's in Boulder too, the Craft Beer Association. Like, you know, you can only have an independent craft beer label if you meet these categories. You're specifically a microbrewery if you only brew this many barrels of beer a year and pair it up that way. That's just, you know, something. And that's also the only complaint I have about Stefan is when he tried to apologize, he brought Budweiser or Bud Light. At least now in Colorado, we got to show him we got a little bit better beer than that.
Yeah, there's better options out there.
Yeah, Utah and all that. It's fine. But now you're here, so we got to up that game just a little.
Yeah, for sure. 100% agree with you on that one.
So how do you see Scorpius Fest growing over the next 5 years? I'm sad to hear that no Boulder magazine returned your calls, and hopefully in 5 years you'll be on the other side of that where they won't stop calling you. But what's your 5-year plan for this?
First, I just want to say, like, no hard feelings. We are a nothing festival in terms of like scale of actual festivals. You know, I understand why they didn't want to write a story about it. It's just kind of like it's a realization of like, oh man, yeah, we do have to work at this. It's not just like we'll reboot it here and it'll be fine. It's like we do have to build it over 5 years and convince people that what we are trying to do is worth their time, and you know, not only that they should submit to it, but that they should attend. So yeah, I would hope that eventually it becomes a thing that's worth actually talking about in a larger capacity. But I'll let Evan kind of talk about the more grand hopes and dreams, because he'll do a better job.
Yeah, I think, and it's summed up honestly. Isaac Brockshus, who's our sound engineer for the Spectacular by Comparison, that documentary. He's actually in the documentary quite a bit, but he has a quote from that film that I think sums it up, which is, Scorpius Fest is a small consortium of filmmakers by filmmakers to discuss film. So rather than the focus being about selling your film or getting distribution or making it big, it's an opportunity to meet and connect with other filmmakers and build connections and community to make more films. And in fact, we are living examples of that, because when we were in attendance at Scorpius Fest back in 2023, before we had decided to make this documentary, we met so many awesome people who were just other filmmakers that were in the same boat as we were, that were there and attending. And we have maintained relationships with several of those people for, 3 years later now. And in fact, one of the filmmakers that was there with us ended up filming and shooting for us the documentary itself, because he lived in Utah. And we flew back out to meet Stefan, and we contacted our friend Josh Gerritsen, and said, hey, crazy question. We have no money, but you were at this festival with us and we want to make a documentary about it. Would you be willing to be our cameraman on this? And he said yes. And so like, so many opportunities come up when you just meet and have community and meet face to face and talk about your passions and show your work. So in 5 years time, I would love for Scorpius Fest to maintain that angle on film festivals, and maybe incorporate a little bit more marketing or a little bit more platform for people to see your film, but really as a place for filmmakers to meet other filmmakers and really workshop the films that they've submitted, what they have going on, and see how we can all help each other.
Yeah. Because you guys have a few, not just yourselves, but the gentleman who directed and filmed Dreamland Awaits was also a Scorpius Fest 2023 person. I've drawn a blank on his name. Sorry, but
yeah,
and he's from Norway, correct? Or
Hungary.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Just an incredible human being who was going to try and make it this year, but couldn't swing it. Yeah, I mean, that's a great example. Like he's maybe Scorpius Fest's biggest champion. Like he's making videos to promote it, and he's on the other side of the world and like can't come, but still is like believes in this idea. Yeah, it's kind of awesome.
Yeah. And what conversations do you think, or do you want to obviously create in the lobby after these films? Is it a overall general filmmakers getting to meet filmmakers, or is it specific to the film? Have you kind of developed that? Like, I know Steph, which is Colorado Environmental Film Festival, has, you know, their film, and then afterwards they'll have a panel talking about whatever the environmental challenge or whatever they're trying to showcase on that. So is it generally, let's talk more about films and get filmmakers together, or do you want specific action points per film? Or is it a little mix of both, I guess?
That's a great question. It is a little bit of a mix of both. We're going to have panels as well there during the festival, specifically for things like how do you raise funds? How do you
I can actually say what the ones are. Yeah. We've got one about distribution and sort of like how the old model is not really built for us anymore. The best editor I've ever met is going to do one about trailer editing, like how to make an effective trailer so that you can actually get people to watch your movie. That's Jack McCall. The distribution one is going to be done by Justin Hunt. Joey is going to do one, I'm blanking on his last name, I'm sorry, is going to do one about like how to organize your project so that you don't hate yourself later, so that you can be more efficient. And then there's one on Joe Scott, who's like a fairly famous YouTuber. I edited his documentary that's going to play in the festival, and he's going to come and do one about sort of how YouTube can be a platform for you to grow your audience and then make a feature film with it. So that'll be really exciting. Yeah, those are the four at the moment.
Yeah, okay. We want to give filmmakers the ability to actually learn something as best as we can provide information and assist other filmmakers in making future films. We want the filmmakers to talk to each other, and we also want a general audience to come and experience these films, because there's so much out there. I think the power of curation is not always totally appreciated. So like, if you are a fan of truly independent film and you're tired of just digging and digging and digging to find cool stuff, you can come to our festival. We've done a lot of that digging for you and put together what we think is, in our humble opinion, worthy of your time and worthy of an audience. So we want to try and balance both those things. We want it to be for the filmmakers, and to up-level their skill set, to connect with other filmmakers, to network and collaborate with other filmmakers. But we also want to bring the audience in with that and let them see the birth of new, potential groundbreaking films or filmmakers, and see where it all kind of started from.
Yeah. And like I said, what I've seen from your curation, it's top notch. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
What advice would you give your younger selves before your first film festival submission?
Man, just start. Just say yes. just go for it. Don't second guess yourself, and you let your own sense of perfectionism or whatever your vision may be, don't let that hold you back because you don't think you can do it the way you want to do it. Just start. This story landed in our laps, and all the credit really goes to Tyson for being the motivating factor and the driving force behind the whole thing. I just kept saying yes, like, sure, I don't know what this is going to be, but let's do it anyway. And it turns out when you just start saying yes to stuff, things start happening. So just start.
All right.
That's what to tell yourself about filmmaking. But I would say, in specific to film festivals, don't submit to everything, and decide whether or not a film festival is actually correct for your film. Not just that the festival itself is the right fit for your movie, but that you need to spend the money to put it in film festivals. Because I'd almost argue that part of me wonders if the reason Take Care got distribution is because we got into so many smaller festivals, but I kind of wish I'd have submitted to half. I was so convinced that we wouldn't get into any that I submitted to anyone that gave me a high enough discount. Because I was like, I just got to get it in one, because I promised all these filmmakers I would get it seen at least in one theater. And then when we kept getting accepted, I was like, oh, fuck. And some of them are Laurel Farms, like, and that's not really worth your time. And I didn't know that until now. So it's helpful if they're IMDb certified. Check what kind of films they actually screen. make sure your film fits in with that, and then decide whether or not that money could be better spent on the second movie. Because maybe you just need to put it out there and share it, as opposed to spending money on hopes that it will get into one of these things.
All right. And so kind of now we'll kind of zoom out for the state. What do you think about the film industry in Colorado? I know obviously better incentives are always going to push higher and, you know, make us a better industry. What are some of the pros and some of the things that maybe our industry here could work on?
Oh gosh. Well, first I'll just say that there's an extraordinary community of filmmakers from all walks of production right here in Colorado. We've worked with a lot of them, and there's a lot more we want to work with. And I feel like, if anything, Colorado still kind of flies under the radar a little bit. We don't have what the kind of infrastructure or tax incentives that some, like a place like New Mexico or Georgia, though I think they may have just let theirs expire, or there's some kind of changeover in Georgia happening with their incentives. Anyway, we may not have that right now. I think as far as state government goes, but there could definitely be more of a push to support and recognize the value of local film. But for me, the big thing is just like, we have the people here to do it. We may or may not get the money, but money can never be a barrier. You've got to figure it out. That's the real independent spirit, is just finding a way to getting it done, regardless of your budget. But the talent is here, and it's ready to be utilized. I think we can all do a better job of maintaining that sense of community in Colorado among filmmakers. And, you know, the Colorado Office of Film, Television, Media has been a big part of that. The Denver Film Festival and the Denver Film itself has been a big part of that. I think there's just even more that we could do to get us all talking to each other, get us on each other's projects, and just start making stuff.
Yeah. Sounds good. Tyson, what do you think?
I mean, that's kind of it. Everything Evan said is probably the biggest thing I would advocate for. It's like, meet people, don't be a piece of shit, and they'll want to work with you again, and then like spread that goodwill, you know? Like, I can't advocate for anyone working for free unless you just really believe in the thing and you've made friends and you want to make something. But like, saying yes to stuff, it's great. Like you're doing with this podcast, it's basically just saying, hey, Colorado people, look at these other Colorado people, and hopefully that creates some amount of a web. Yeah, spread the love, I guess. That's what Colorado could do better.
Okay. And are you both originally from Colorado, or did you come to the state from?
We're both transplants. I moved here in 2004, so I've been here for 22 years now, but I grew up in Texas.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm from the middle of nowhere in Illinois. And then I moved to LA for 3 years, and then I moved here for work, and just been here ever since.
Nice. And what keeps you staying in Colorado, I guess? I know you both own Subjective LLC and Objective Films, so obviously a company, but is there one thing you're like, if I leave, I don't have, you know, copper or Breck?
Yeah. I mean, one, moving sucks. And two, I mean, you've made the community. It's like, it would be really hard to keep working with Evan as closely as I do if I moved to a different state, you know? And I mean, shit, most of the reason we get work in our other is referrals. It's, you know, it's like, I've worked with you for years and you're going to keep working together. And so build a community and then hold on to it with all you got.
Nice. And Colorado is a beautiful state. You know, I love it here. It's a beautiful state with an incredible access to the outdoors. All kinds of locations are available, regardless of like what you need. We've got prairies, we've got mountains, we've got sand dunes, and we have great people. I think one of the, you know, I hesitate to use the term flyover state because I think it's just baked with a lot of ill will, but knowing people on the coasts in LA and New York, a lot of people don't know anything about Denver. They don't really understand just what's here. And we're sort of ideally placed right in the center of things. And we've got access to some incredible stuff, like as far as just the outdoors and the city and the community here. I would love to see us maintain sort of independence from the pressures of any kind of studio system, but I would also like us to see us grow and sort of build a new foundation of future filmmakers and artists here in the state. And I mean, I have no plans of leaving. This is my home now. Yeah, and the community is here.
Nice. Yeah, it's, you know, it's a beautiful thing, and it's always nice to, and like you said, building that community. And there's only one way I see it going up in the going is up in the filmmaking community, because we're on the cusp, I think, of something different than, like you said, both the coasts, and you've got all that. So is there anything you'd like to plug aside from Scorpius Fest that you're working on or that's coming out in the future that you'd like to let people know about?
Sure. Well, our documentary, Spectacular by Comparison, will be screening at Scorpius Fest on February 28th, that Saturday night. We thought that was a great way to like introduce the audience and the film festival attendees to sort of the story of how this festival came about. So if you want to know more about that and see a pretty wild documentary, please come February 28th at the Dairy Arts Center in Boulder. And then our next feature-length documentary is going to be Fae Folk, A Search for Connection, which is a documentary about fairy folklore and modern myth throughout Ireland and Wales. We spent 2 weeks going all over Ireland, Wales, and southern England, and meeting all kinds of folklorists and historians and people who still believe in what we call the fairy faith. Sounds a little crazy, but we've got a woman with a heart of gold at the center of that story, and some pretty spectacular footage. So we're hoping to have that done maybe within the next year or so.
All right, nice. Tyson?
Scorpius Fest. Just come out to
All
Scorpius Fest. That's another thing Colorado can do. Support the local industry. This is kind of funny. One of the things I was told when we first brought Scorpius Fest here was someone who said, next year, Boulder will have one too many film festivals, and Sundance isn't it. And I was like, oh, fuck, you're talking about us. But like, I think there is an appetite for that kind of film. And the only way it can keep going is to show up and support the ones making it. So yeah, come to Scorpius Fest, y'all.
Absolutely. And whoever said that was wrong, because they're wrong. Sorry. So, but yeah, I mean, I am super excited about Scorpius Fest. The films I have seen are just phenomenal. Each one tells a unique story. And thank you very much, Evan and Tyson, for coming on today. I appreciate it, and I look forward to many more years of Scorpius Fest.
Thank you, Corey, so much. We really appreciate
the
opportunity and you reaching out to us.
Yeah. Well, have a great day, and I'll see you next week.
Wonderful. Bye.
I didn't know if that just meant stop recording or get